welcome back to another installment of The Unwatched File, the show where, typically three of us get together, scrape off the dust. It's like a really thick piece. It's like a centimeter thick of dust off of that pile of movies we, for some reason, haven't gotten to yet in our collections. We finally watch one. We discuss it a little bit, our first impressions, and then we go back into our collections, bring a pairing that would pair nicely with that movie, and have fun. Talk movies, talk things that we haven't seen, things we have seen. And me and Andrew always do that with a guest. We have him come in here in a second. But before that, how you doing, Andrew?
Doing good. Yeah, we're back here once again. I tell you, doing these doing two of these a month, these come up way more frequently now than
Yeah.
I remember
great.
them. It's like as soon as I get done with one, it's like the other one is right behind it.
Yeah. Andrew, of course, does Chasing Labels, the flagship show. So he's just every week, boom, 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 boom. He's always got something happening. So he loves it. I know he loves it.
That's using the term very loosely. Love, I guess love because it's movies, but you got to stay on top of it. There's no lag time here. You got to make sure you stay vigilant, or you'll get behind.
It really depends on how much pressure you decide to put on yourself.
Very true.
That is Andrew.
Yeah, it is all self-induced pressure because when you do your own stuff, whatever it is, and whether it's YouTube,
you set a standard. You set a standard for yourself, and you want
to keep that standard because you know in the back of your mind if you slack off, you'll slack off a little more, and then you'll cut some more corners, and then next thing you know,
you're not watching any movies for Chasing Labels.
If that happens, I'm either gone, as in like gone, or I've gone insane.
yeah. He's not watching movies anymore. What? But that's another show. But in Watch Pile, like I said, this is the show where we watch some of them, blind buys. Some people call them blind buys, things like that. And now we're getting them out of the collection. We're making sure that they're watched films. Me and Andrew got a couple interesting ones tonight, and of course our guest will have something. We'll go ahead and introduce him. He is he wants to be introed as ex-film critic, Mr. Ian Schultz. What's up, man?
I'm doing fine. It's nice to see you guys again. It's been a while. And we've got a very interesting mixed bag of films. Has no connection whatsoever.
Yeah, sometimes we do a theme, depending on what the month is. But most of the time, it could just be anything. And this time, I think we got a Joseph Losley film. We got a what is that? Birdman to Alcatraz. That's who's the director?
John
Frankenheimer. Yeah, Frankenheimer. And then I have an Indian film, a Bengali film. So yeah, we're just all over the place tonight. But how's it been going with you? What you been up to, Ian?
Well, I volunteer at the Hyde Park Picture House, which is the only gaslit cinema in the world, which is in Leeds. Wow. Speaking of Frankenheimer, I will be doing a 35mm screening of The Manchurian Candidate on the 4th of September at the Bradford Media Museum. So if anyone is in Yorkshire, obviously come along to that. About 3 years ago, due to various reasons, I stopped being a film critic. Also around the time I started volunteering at Hyde Park. So I've not been doing reviews of late, but you can still find me on Letterboxd and Instagram, and you'll still hear my opinion.
Yeah, well, I was gonna say you're a big film enthusiast. You're buying physical media and you're watching films all the time, no matter what, because that's in your DNA.
Yep.
So, all right. Well, we got some comments here. We got Josie, who's always coming in with her first time watches, saying hey to all three of us. Let's see. She's got some new watches here. 1 Hour with You from 1932. Aria from 87. Monto Calero from 1930, and Curry Barker's Milk and Cereal. Any of these? Anybody seen any of these?
Oh yeah, I still need to do. That's an anthology film with like Godard and Nicholas Roeg and Julian Temple. It's one I haven't got around to, but I know about it.
Okay. I haven't checked. No, I've seen Obsession. The Curry Barker's new film obviously took the world by storm, but I haven't watched this Milk and Cereal yet. Anybody seen this Milk and Cereal
No,
film yet?
No, I have not. But I'm
I
curious to see
I
it
think it's
because
on YouTube. I believe it's on
that's
YouTube.
okay. Yeah, because I knew.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Is this
because
the one that's like a straight comedy?
I think it's a horror comedy. Yeah.
It might be no, I believe it is like a kind of like teen comedy. Like it's
Oh,
not a
I think
whole
Andrew's
full
checking
movie.
it for us.
yeah, yeah. So it says a surprise birthday prank takes a turn for the worse when a popular social media duo must face the reality of the terrifying aftermath. I don't know what that says with the genre. It says B horror, found footage, psychological thriller, horror thriller. That's what IMDb
Yeah, so
categorizes it at.
it sounds like a comedy, but it's playing itself as being a darker movie.
It's about an hour long, so I guess that's the feature cutoff time. I would assume.
I think
Depending
they're
on your definition of a
considering.
feature,
It depends on who you talk to, but
really does.
I'll have to check it out. And then looks like we got some other here.
Okay, yeah.
Some
We're now
Ernest
with you in
Lubitsch.
Monte Carlo are the Ernst Lubitsch musical set, part of the Criterion Eclipse series. So I may have watched those and talked about them on Chasing Labels because that new Eclipse set that Criterion's putting out, or actually reissuing, really, just on Blu-ray, because they put out his musicals years ago in an Eclipse set. So I guess with reviving of the Eclipse series, they're putting out another one of those sets. So I probably have seen those.
Yeah. And then we got JB44 saying greetings, chasers, continuing the catchphrase,
keeping the name alive
for people that are fans of Chasing Labels. All right, so that's all for the comments for now. As usual, we always start off with our guest. Please tell us about your first time watching.
Well, so I picked because I'm doing Manchurian Candidate in September. So I picked one of Frankenheimer's other films from the same year, which is Birdman of Alcatraz, which is it's a wild year for Frankenheimer because he did 3 films in 1962, which is crazy.
That is crazy.
Especially even back then, that was insane. So he did All Fall Down, which is with Vaughn Beatty and Angela Lansbury, which is a kind of knockoff Tennessee Williams. It's not Tennessee Williams, but it's got a very Tennessee Williams sort of vibe to it. Obviously, Manchurian Candidate, which is the best of the 3, and then I believe Birdman of Alcatraz might have been the most successful of the 3, if I'm not mistaken, at the time. It's based off this, let's say, true story of the Birdman of Alcatraz. Obviously, there was a guy who was the Birdman of Alcatraz. Although the film and the novel it's based on is wildly inaccurate. And the funny thing about the Birdman of Alcatraz is he was a birdman, he was in Alcatraz, but he did not have his birds in Alcatraz. He wasn't allowed to have them. And he was not really the nice guy that he's portrayed as in the film. I mean, he was in Alcatraz. I mean, obviously there's some decent people in Alcatraz, as there is in any prison. But he was a pretty nasty piece of work in real life. The birds he had, it was at Leavenworth Prison, which is now, of course, infamous prison. And yeah, I mean, it's really solid. Burt Lancaster is the Birdman. Carl Malden's in it. Thelma Ritter is in it. Edmund O'Brien's in it. A very young Terry Sylvanas is in it, with some hair, which is quite funny when you think of him, to realize he had hair at one point in his life. Not a ton, but he had some. But yeah, it's, solid sort of prison drama. It's probably a little too long. It's like nearly 2.5 hours. But yeah, it's just a really solid piece of work, and Frankenheimer at that point was pretty unstoppable, even with some of his lesser films.
Yeah, this is a film I've had on my shelf for a while. I believe I have a a Twilight Time release of this movie, I believe. I think that's what I have.
Yeah, that sounds right for the U.S.
Yeah,
I
there
have
was
the Master Cinema one.
Yeah.
famously there are two, Region A releases of Birdman of Alcatraz. One from Twilight Time, and I believe one from Olive Films as well. The years later, one came out 2014, one came out 2018, and the main difference between the two is, I believe, the commentaries are different, which is always kind of, a thing if you're a collector and you want, everything in one all-encompassing release. Sometimes you have to buy multiple
Well,
copies of the
I'd be
movie.
honest with you. The commentary is where I stop. I'm not buying multiple editions for different commentaries.
Some people have those things where they want everything. I get it. Trust me, I'm kind of one of them.
You need to stop.
Yeah, and I famously have mentioned that this is one of those movies where I've seen it, really liked it a lot. Frankenheimer's excellent, as Ian said. Truly one of a filmmaker who's great to study his work because his work is so contemporary, in my opinion. And this release is always funny to me because, like I said, if you want everything, you have to get both of them. So my indifference has led me to buy neither of them up until this point, until hopefully somebody puts out another release sometime soon. Who knows? Because ironically, both Twilight Time and Olive Films kind of don't exist anymore. So it's like
somebody's gonna do it. Yeah. But
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if maybe Criterion at some point might do it.
Yeah.
Or Arrow, possibly. They've both done a few Frankenheimers. So.
That's very true. And I know in the UK, I think there's a Masters of Cinema release. So
I believe
may have it.
I believe it's out print now. This is the one I watched. Which has the Twilight Time commentary, and then it has 2-hour featurettes.
Oh, okay. So it's got more than either of those other two releases had. So that's probably the better of the three.
Yeah, and then obviously a booklet with an essay and stuff. So,
what studio put out that movie?
I believe it was MGM or maybe United Artists.
Let me see. I'm on the IMDb page right now. They usually have
United Artists, who also did Manchurian Candidate that year.
It could be a Criterion then. Could be a Criterion situation, possibly.
Which is interesting because they have put out Frankenheimer before.
Yeah.
You mentioned the Manchurian Candidate, Ian. They put that out.
And Seconds.
Yeah, in Seconds. So there's precedent there already.
For sure.
I mean, I would suspect probably the next one they would do would be 7 Days in May, I would imagine.
Yeah.
That's kind of what a Warner Archive.
It has a Warner Archive Blu-ray, but as we've seen, that doesn't matter anymore.
At this point, it doesn't matter. Yeah. Especially with Warner Brothers stuff right now.
Yeah, because they put out Performance and they put out Night Moves, and those both had Warner Archive Bluerays already, and
tons of Warner's tons of Warner's coming out in Arrow right now.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And also, Vinegar Syndrome has a Warner's deal now, so.
Yeah,
and everyone's just pillaging it before.
I feel like Warner's trying to they're just letting everything ride right now until this merger happens. But when it comes to prison films, where does it kind of stand amongst other prison films?
I mean, it's solid. I mean, it's not like the greatest prison movie ever, but I mean, Burt Lancaster's just fantastic in it.
I'm a fan. I'm a big fan. I love The Swimmer.
Yeah, The Swimmer is
kind of my
great.
favorite performance.
I'm kind of surprised he didn't try to tap Frankenheimer to come in to shoot some of that because Lancaster and Frankenheimer were super tight at that point. I mean, he was kind of Frankenheimer's mentor to some extent.
Yeah, they work together. Isn't The Train also a John Frankenheimer film? That's another collaboration.
7 Days in May, Young Savages, Gypsy Moths. They did a lot of films in the 60s. I'm surprised he wasn't a possibility for Seconds either, actually.
Yeah.
But I know for Seconds he wanted Laurence Olivier was who he wanted initially.
Okay. Well, awesome. We'll come back around to you to talk about what you paired with Birdman from Alcatraz. But now before we get over to Andrew, apparently Andrew, Josephine really loves your history discussion, and you need to do something special for America 250. I don't know what that would be.
Neither would I.
Yeah.
Ironically, I just work it into chasing labels naturally anyway, because sometimes the movies we cover are historically related, whether
Historical,
it's
yeah.
World War II, Vietnam, political conspiracy theory thrillers. Heck, we were just talking about John Frankenheimer, 7 Days in May. It's a
Yeah.
pretty big political conspiracy theorist type of movie.
Yeah.
So yeah,
With that, he consulted Kennedy, and he
oh,
said it sounded pretty accurate with what would happen.
interesting. It is very interesting how sometimes those things are very. Looking back in hindsight, how real those political thrillers were from like the 60s and 70s, how outlandish they were seemingly at the time. But then, like today, you're like, yeah, that could probably happen, and nobody would be surprised.
Yeah.
Well, also the other thing with Frankenheimer is he was there when RFK Sr. was assassinated.
He was at the hotel.
Yeah, he was working on the campaign.
Oh, gee.
Like they were very, very tight, and they were gonna have dinner like immediately afterwards.
Wow.
Talk about political inclinations there.
And that completely put him off politics for the rest of his life.
It is interesting how he did pivot later on in his career to not making such politically heavy movies.
But then he came back in the 90s with some fantastic political television movies.
Yeah.
Like George Wallace and Path to War and stuff. So it's just fantastic.
Fantastic. All right, we'll get back around to Ian for his pairing. Andrew, tell us about your first time watch.
Oh, we're gonna go to me. We'll save you for last. The best for last, some may say.
Why I always go that? No, I'm just kidding.
Well, my film is by a noted director, but it's probably not his most well-known movie. If anything, it may be a movie that may be his worst, according to many people. That is the movie Boom, starring Elizabeth Taylor and Richard Burton. Came out in 1968. This movie has got a bit of a cult following now over the years. Pretty much, I believe, since a revival of it came in the 90s. And really a revival of it not only from the 90s, but John Waters pretty much kept this movie alive probably by happenstance.
Oh, completely. I mean, and there's also, I think in Pink Flamingos, there's a very prominent poster for Boom. Yeah,
there's a movie poster of Boom in several of his movies.
Yeah, it's his favorite film.
Yes. If you ever meet John Waters and you ask him what his favorite movie is, it probably will be Boom. He's done.
I think it's that and Wizard of Oz.
That makes sense. Yeah, his pitch for the sequel to the Wizard of Oz is quite something. If you've ever seen it.
Yeah.
It's fascinating how this is his favorite movie, and I know he was a big fan of Elizabeth Taylor. That's probably goes into it. Of course, Elizabeth Taylor and Richard Burton at the time were like the kind of headline, a Hollywood couple, if you will, in all regard. Elizabeth Taylor famously married several times throughout her life. I believe her and Richard Burton were married and divorced, I think 3 times or so. I forget how many times.
At least twice. At least
yes.
Twice.
And during the making of this is one of the times where they were actually together. They starred in many films together, many great films, many not so great films. This is considered not one of their best. And I can understand why. This is an interesting movie. So it's written by Tennessee Williams based off of one of his plays. Tennessee Williams, the famous playwright whose work has been adapted into many a great film over time. Many starring one of my favorites in Paul Newman. Cat in a Hot Tin Roof, I believe it's a Tennessee Williams play adaptation. Starring Elizabeth Taylor and Paul Newman. That one is excellent. This is interesting to me because, like I said, it has pedigree behind it. Joseph Losey as director, Elizabeth Taylor, Richard Burton, Tennessee Williams, Noel Coward is in the movie. Talk about another playwright and multifaceted, talented individual. He's in this movie as a character called the Witch of Capri is his name, just to give you a sense of how elaborate this movie is. So this movie takes place on an island, I believe in the Caribbean. And
is it Greece?
Yeah. So the Aegean Sea, I think, is more accurate. So further east in the Caribbean.
Mediterranean. But it doesn't really matter. It's not in any form of reality.
Yeah, it's not. The movie is plotless. It is gorgeously plotless. I say gorgeously because being shot on location on an island in the series of chateaus that are interconnected to one another, overlooking the cliffside of an ocean. It's beautiful, gorgeous, gorgeous movie. But there's no plot here whatsoever. You have Elizabeth Taylor, who is this character. What's her name? It's let's see. Flora Goldforth is her name,
AKA Sissy.
Sissy. Yeah, that's the name everybody calls her, and she is she's 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 an interesting character. She's dying or maybe dying. She has all of these servants that take care of her and live with her here on this island. She's wealthy, I'm assuming beyond any measure, because she can afford to live on this island in Richard Branson style, I guess. And Richard Burton plays his character of Chris Flanders, who's also known as quote unquote the Angel of Death. He seems to show up when these elderly women pass away right after he appears. So that's why he's got the nickname of the Angel of Death. So he makes his way to this island, and kind of he and her basically go back and forth, yelling at each other, talking to each other for an hour and 50 minutes. If you just want to see Elizabeth Taylor and Richard Burton talk to each other in random conversations for almost 2 hours, that's this type of movie. There's really no other plot quite going on. There are attempts to make this movie deeply metaphorical, thematically deep, rich, philosophical, all about life and death and relationships and things like that, and poetry, because the Chris Flanders character by Richard Burton is a poet as well. But the movie never achieves any of those things. You're basically just here for the randomness of it all. And Elizabeth Taylor wears the most crazy outfits in this movie that you've ever seen.
I mean, she's basically a drag queen in it. I mean,
yes, this movie is highly influential on the look of many of people who dress in drag over the next several decades. It's definitely an influence on a certain aesthetics for certain movie. This movie tries to be a melodrama, maybe in the vein of Douglas Sirk, but it really doesn't do that at all. The dialogue in this movie is so random. The emotions are so random. They'll be Richard Burton and Elizabeth Taylor will be talking to each other, just calmly talking, walking. Then all of a sudden, Elizabeth Taylor will start screaming for no reason. It's just wild about the things that happen in this movie. And yet again, nearly a plotless film. But if you're a fan of Taylor and Richard Burton, you almost have to watch it just to believe, because it's indescribable. This edition here has a commentary by John Waters himself. There's also a 19-minute special feature with film critic Alonso Duralde talking about his relationship with the movie and how
you should get him on sometime. You should get him on sometime.
That would be great. I've always been a big fan of his. And
he's on Facebook. He's really friendly. I'm sure he'd be glad to come on.
That would be awesome. But he's on here and he talks about literally the relationship with John Waters. And basically, what I really like is he talks about how he told John Waters, I think in '97 at I think it was Dallas Film Festival, that if he could find a print, would John Waters come to the festival? And John Waters was like, yeah, sure, but you'll never find a print. Because apparently this movie was just out of circulation for decades because it wasn't a big hit when it came out. And of course, there was no reason to screen it. So he tracked down a print of it, and it must have been the only 35 millimeter print of it around that Universal or whoever had it. Universal actually has the rights to it, that Universal had. And it's probably the one that this Blu-ray is made from, or at least they probably remastered it over time. But yeah. I've had this Blu-ray for the last few weeks, and I've been waving it around on Chasing Labels for the last couple of months, and now I got to actually watch the movie.
I mean, it's called Boom.
It's called Boom.
Exclamation mark.
The reason why is because several times in this movie, Richard Burton will say the word boom. It's just puts in the conversation.
It is a better film title than The Milk Train Doesn't Stop Here Anymore.
That's the title of the play, which is even more ambiguous.
I don't know that's like two opposite ends.
And apparently there's a whole documentary that came out a few years ago about the making of this movie, because apparently the making of this movie is more fascinating than the movie itself. Just Richard Burton and Elizabeth Taylor and Joseph Losey on an island making a movie. And apparently it's very crazy. And I got to track down that documentary.
They were extremely drunk. Everyone was.
That's the rumors that they were intoxicated the whole time.
I don't think it's even a rumor. I think it's just the reality of it. And also, Rupert Everett played Sissy in drag in the 90s on stage. So they've done it as like as a drag version of it on stage over the years, which makes complete sense when you see
that does actually make a lot of sense, because the costumes that Elizabeth Taylor plays are so elaborate. She has this kabuki one where she has this dinner with Noel Coward's character, and it has this massive headdress that looks like crystallized chandelier, which she takes off like halfway.
It has to be seen to be believed.
Yeah, it's got to be seen to be believed. And this cover here is so melodramatic. Just like it looks like the cover to like a romance novel that you would see in a convenience store or a bookstore. So that's the movie Boom. Unbelievably interesting, indescribable film from two icons of Hollywood, if anything.
Awesome. I can't wait to hear the pairing. All right. Off to mine. I will take us overseas to India to talk about this is one I'm surprised I took so long to watch, because as people know, I'm a big fan of Satyajit Ray, and I got this specifically because it is another Bengali filmmaker, and was excited to discover more film from that part of the world. And it took me a couple years, I guess, to finally get around to this. But this film, The Cloud-Caped Star, is directed by Ritwik Gaita. And he's apparently a pretty high esteemed filmmaker in India, as well as Satyajit Ray. And he also makes very dramatic films, not your typical Bengali kind of Bollywood type of thing. And in this film, you have Nita, who's kind of the daughter of this family who's quickly starting to take over responsibility basically for the survival of the whole family. The father has an accident and then is bedridden for months, and basically Nita is the only one that is responsible enough and able enough to actually take on responsibility of taking care of the whole family. So she has to go out into the workplace instead of pursuing her future. She's supposed to be going to college. She's met a man who she was going to be marrying. But then this happens, and then it kind of all falls apart. And this film really just follows her journey into like kind of despair of like her slowly realizing that she's kind of losing herself and getting kind of consumed by just making money and trying to keep the family afloat. And at the same time, not really getting the support she would think she would get for doing what she's doing, because she is just setting her life aside to do what I guess the culture says is what she should be doing, which is protecting her family instead of thinking of herself. Now, obviously that's part of the crux of the conversation. But either one of you seen this? Get a chance to watch this?
No, I haven't, sadly.
Well, it's okay. I didn't watch yours, so I don't feel so bad.
I did watch it actually yesterday, because it is streaming on the Criterion channel for anybody who is interested in checking it out. If you have that,
the only streaming service I pay for.
It's a good one.
It's one to support.
Yeah, and of course there is a Blu-ray. The Blu-ray that Steven has came out in 2019, actually, and I don't see many people talk about this release very often. Perhaps Satyajit Ray overshadows this movie.
I mean, to be honest, it feels like that part of the Bengali Indian film is not represented very well in general. I feel like except for Bollywood stuff.
That's very true. I'm just talking about, I guess, Criterion in general, because that came out, like you said, and it is very similar. If you like the Apu trilogy, if you like Charulata, the Big City, if you like those films, this fits right in that lexicon. Yeah. This character is really humanistic in that
you
regard.
would think my first thing would be to go get a Satyajit Ray film to pair with this, and I could have
Very much so.
super easy. But
I did just mention several of them, and I could have given away your pick.
No.
I
didn't.
not.
It was too easy. I could have went that way.
It is rather easy. So, and this movie is so like contemporarily humanistic because a lot of people today take on a lot of familial burdens. But being the head of a family, being the financial breadwinner of a family, being someone who has to fix everyone else's problems within a family. I mean, those things seem to be universal and generational. And this movie really depicts that I think the movie came out in 1960. So we're talking decades upon decades ago. It really shows how that massive weight can take its toll on you. And we've seen it many a time where people crumble under that weight. And it's very interesting how this movie depicts that crumbling, that slow crumbling away. It's really a phenomenal movie. Excellent film.
Yeah, visually as well. I think that this was obviously my first time seeing this director, and there's some just fantastic cinematography in this film. Great framing, just use of film language.
A lot of use of music as well, Indian music, because the brother character in the film wants to be a musical artist, and he doesn't want to get a job in the music industry until he perfects his voice. So it's like.
Yeah,
I think you've known those people.
Well, I mean, a lot of us are them. Or is that person
a perfectionist?
People that want to be artists over being somebody that actually goes out and makes money now. A lot of times art requires time to hone that craft, and it a lot of times means you don't make any money to start that thing. So I think that's one of the dynamics of the film that really works for me is like you see her and she wants to go pursue like a life for herself, but now she has to go right into making money instead of pursuing her passions or pursuing what she wants to be her future. And then at the same time, her brother's getting to do that, but it doesn't feel like he's like, there's this fight between like what's pragmatic and what you should be like, or should you be following your passions at a moment like this when the family needs help?
Yeah, and that's a universal thing. Like you do. Where does your loyalty lie? Does it lie to yourself and your own needs and your own wants in life, or are you beholden to your family? And sometimes that can be culturally dependent. I mean, we've seen a lot of that. I see a lot of that in Ozu's work, and I've seen a lot of that in the Indian work as well, and a lot of cultures that deal with very close-knit family ties universal. That deal with tradition.
It's pretty universal. Ian, any thoughts on anything that we've said?
No, it sounds good. I need to invest. And obviously, I've seen a Pooh trilogy and a few others, but I need to investigate those films a little more at some point.
They are great. Days and Nights in the Forest just got announced. That's another Ray film that I'm super excited to get in the collection. But I think everybody's going to know my pairing, so we'll probably have more of a discussion when we get around to that. So, but Ian, we're back around to you. Please tell us what you're pairing with Birdman of Alcatraz.
Well, what I did was I just picked two films that I've had for a very, very long time that I should have seen by now. So I picked a wildly different film, which is Celine and Julie Go Boatin'.
Okay. It's been a while since I've seen that. Yeah.
I've had, I had it on DVD years ago. I never got around to it. I have the Blu-ray, so I was like, I'll finally watch it. It was Jack Rivette's most, I think, commercially successful film. It's a kind of surrealist sort of female friendship, Alice in Wonderland sort of film within a film within a film within a film. Sort of 3 hour, 12-minute sort of dream logic film, I guess. That's the way to describe it.
I knew you were going to pick something weird to go with your movie. I was like, Ian's going to pick something off the wall. So how do you think that they pair? Why do they pair nicely together?
I mean, they don't. But
so you just want to throw people off.
No, I just literally wanted to just get two films that I've had for years watched.
Well, I mean, the movie that you pair with it is something you have watched. That would pair. I
have watched. Okay.
So something in your collection that you've seen that would pair nicely with this new movie you watched. So.
Okay. So
yeah.
I would let me think of a good one. A Man Escaped.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, that is a good one.
Is that Bresson or?
That
Yeah,
is.
Bresson.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Probably my favorite. It's probably my favorite prison movie. I mean, it's just
Yeah.
so perfect. I'm always like, I love when you look on the Wikipedia page for slow cinema and Man Escaped is there,
Yeah.
because that is not slow cinema. I mean, it's one of the most like fast-paced films I've ever seen in my life.
Hmm.
I don't get why that's slow cinema. It's just so
I don't know.
fast-paced.
Today slow is God. I don't know what the definition's changed for sure.
Yeah, to me, it's more like it's like poignant cinema. Like it's very specific cinema, because in A Man Escaped, it's like there's action constantly happening. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? So, but it's not slow.
yeah, it's like 85 minutes, something
Yeah,
ridiculous
it's super
anyway.
short too. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like the first film in what is considered slow cinema. I'm like, how is this slow cinema?
He did Pickpocket too, right?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Pickpocket.
Yeah. So that's another short, quick.
That movie's
like,
even shorter than that.
Yeah, 75 minutes or something ridiculous.
Yeah.
And his Joan of Arc's an hour.
Yeah.
Yeah, he made very stripped down,
He was
very
economical.
efficient cinema, to where like everything in the movie is important to the plot. Everything pushes the plot forward. Even in A Man Escape, like you're seeing this man like put together his plan of escape, hence the title of the movie. But you see him like tie the knots to create some type of thing. You see all the different plans, but it's always moving forward. So it's not. There's other more surreal cinema that I would consider more slow cinema than that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so A Man Escaped is good because like Birdman of Alcatraz is dealing with prison, and then A Man Escaped is also a prison film as well. That's such an interesting subgenre that I think persists to this day, because the penal system is ever flowing, it's ever moving, regardless of
Well, I
where
think
you are in the
today
world.
we tend to focus on why people are put in prison so often, more than dealing with just like prison films. I think we're more interested in why is there so many people being put in prison. That we keep we know why.
Yeah, I mean, famously, I mean, not to get too political, the United States, I'm pretty sure, has like the most prisoners per capita in the world.
Oh,
I mean,
easily.
Yeah, it's like these statistics are there to back that up. I mean, there's also all kinds of political arguments to make about the whole prison industrial complex, for-profit private prisons and stuff like that keep popping up.
I've listened to System of the Down.
Yeah.
Have you guys seen the documentary The House I Live In?
No,
I haven't seen that one.
That's the best documentary on the prison system I've ever seen. It's it's Nicholas Jarecki. It's let's see. I always, because there's like a couple of these brothers. There's one of the brothers made Capturing the Freedmans.
Yeah.
But it's not that one. Let me check. What's the guy's name? Eugene. Eugene Jarecki did.
Okay.
It's technically about the war on drugs, but obviously that and the prison industrial complex are completely linked. So, and it's obviously about sort of the sort of new version of Jim Crow. It's a really just fantastic documentary. It's one of the best documentaries of the last 25 years. So I highly recommend that if people who haven't seen it.
Yeah. Wasn't it who did the one that it was a female director that did?
You talk about Ava DuVernay's.
Yeah. That's another one.
This is a lot better than that. A
Okay.
lot better. It covers a lot of the same ground, but it's a much more thorough documentary and a lot angrier.
Okay. Well, it should be. But yeah, good stuff. I was gonna. Is he gonna do an? I know you were thinking off the top of your head. I was like, he could just do an Alcatraz theme. Just do Escape from Alcatraz with Clint Eastwood. He could just
or I could do Point Blank, which is my favorite Alcatraz.
Or you could do The Rock.
I mean, The Rock is good too.
Yeah.
Well, my dad worked at Alcatraz for a summer once.
Okay.
Wow, that's pretty cool. Like
back in the back in the 80s for like people sort of some kind of like getting unemployed people into work program. So he worked this summer in Alcatraz.
Cool. Huh. He's got more connection to this movie than we knew, guys, until now. But all right. So we got one pairing there for tonight. Andrew, please tell us what you got pairing with
all right. So, boy, this is interesting.
Boom.
Here. All right.
Tell me whatever it is has explosions in it.
No, it does not.
Okay.
Walk with me.
And one thing about Boom is it was Tennessee Williams' favorite adaptation of any of his plays.
I read that too, and it kind of shocked me. Just mind-boggling considering how much of his better work got adapted into much better movies. And yeah, wow, what an interesting thing. And I think this may have been one of Joseph Losey's like favorite of his filmography as well, which is kind of nuts to me.
Jeez.
But anywho, so I'm going to go way out on a limb here. I'm swinging for the fences. I'm going to the other end of the movie quality spectrum. Go with me here. So in Boom, as I mentioned, Richard Burton's character may or may not be the angel of death. Elizabeth Taylor's character is slowly dying throughout the movie, so there is an underlying dread and theme of death in the movie. So I'm like, what is a movie that people know that is famous for depicting death? And I'm going with Ingmar Bergman's The Seventh Seal, which is a massive swing, like I said, in the other direction.
For sure.
I was going to go with another movie of like a couple that are just arguing the whole time and stuff like that. But I'm like, I need something deeper. I need death, because death plays a big part in Boom. If there is something that plays a big part in Boom. So famously, The Seventh Seal, even if you haven't seen The Seventh Seal, chances are you know it. I know I knew it before I ever saw it. I saw clips of it before I ever saw the movie and pictures and all that kind of stuff. Max von Sydow
of it.
Yeah, there's been parodies of it, spoofs
Family
of it.
Guy, everybody.
Bill and Ted. Yeah, Bill and Ted. But famously, Max von Sydow, a frequent collaborator of Ingmar Bergman, plays a knight who has just returned from the Crusades. And lo and behold, he comes back and the plague is ravishing Europe. And death awaits him. And he is essentially going to play chess with death for his life. That is generally the premise. But basically, it's more of a ploy to stave off death, because death, as we know in life in general, is unfortunately inevitable. And even in the movie Boom, that is something that is symbolically in there as well, even if it's not quite as clear as something like Ingmar Bergman. But also in this movie, you have several subplots going on that are very metaphorical. There's a whole troupe of actors in this film as well. That's kind of the B plot-ish of the movie, with the squire of the Max von Sydow character. But famously, the movie is known for playing chess with death, basically playing with a game with death for your life. And that was just the big connection I got between Boom and The Seventh Seal. Like I said, thematically, tonally, acting-wise, dialogue-wise, they couldn't be more different movies, but they're both dealing with the big grandiose theme of death. But yeah, this has famously been put out in every format, I think, from Criterion. I want to say probably going back to Laserdisc. Yeah. Laserdisc, DVD.
I think they even did a 8mm video of it at one point.
I would not be surprised. I know that Criterion never
which was a very weird little format that no one remembers, but it was like sort of higher in tape.
Yeah,
but it wasn't VHS. But Criterion did a few of those. I think they may have done a VHS of it as well.
Yeah. Yes, because there's 8mm and there's high 8, which is a little step above 8mm, if I do recall. But famously,
it might be high 8 I'm thinking of, but I think they may have even done a VHS. So they did dabble with a couple of VHS tapes. They did like the Third Man and a couple
that
of
makes
others.
sense.
I think Seventh Seal may have been one of the few.
I remember
VHSs
Citizen Kane had a gigantic VHS, like big old collector's edition for many, many years, which was like the standard for Citizen Kane. I don't think that was part of Criterion in general, but The Seventh Seal has been released in many formats from them. This is the Blu-ray they came out with several years ago. Of course, it's in their talk about giant sets. It's in their giant Ingmar Bergman set, which I have, but that's a big thing to lug off a shelf. That thing is heavy, and if you drop it, who knows if that's going to break or not.
Yeah, this is the podcast friendly size.
This is the podcast friendly version. I'm one of those people who bought like almost all of the Ingmar Bergman movies before that set was ever even a concept or announced. Similarly to what they're doing now with Stanley Kubrick.
I was going to say, everybody stop buying your single editions.
Yeah.
I mean, I literally got my Barry Lyndon 4K like a week and a half ago.
I bought it during the last sale. So it's like,
I'm okay because like, I got the recent
Dr. Strangelove?
Eyes Wide Shut.
Oh yeah,
but I didn't have to buy that, so it's okay.
I've got famous of it. I've got Eyes Wide Shut, but ironically, the only one I don't have is Dr. Strangelove, which I just kept putting off buying.
I have them, but they're all Blu-rays, so it's okay. They're about to get upgraded.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, because Sony put out their version of Dr. Strangelove, and it had actually all the special features from the Criterion ported over, plus the whatever new stuff they had, because they put it in one of their big old Columbia collection sets.
And then they did an individual one as well.
Yes, then they did it individually as well. But similar to Seventh Seal, they came out with it individually and then put it in the big old Ingmar Bergman set. And I think the one in the set has a better transfer than this one does. I think there were some movies in that set that had new transfers. I think Seventh Seal was one of them. Because this Blu-ray I got this when I first started collecting about 15 years ago. So this is from 2009, which is when this Blu-ray came out.
It was an early Criterion Blu-ray.
Yeah, the Criterion's first couple of Blu-rays probably need to be re-released, but honestly, some of them are just out of print because they don't have the license anymore. Like, for example, The Third Man. That was an early Blu-ray that has been long out of print. It goes for pretty pricey collector's prices on eBay if you still want them. But hopefully they get that back one day. But the Studio Canal just put out a great release of that.
Yeah.
I found a DVD 2-disc of that in a charity shop, which was a nice find.
That was a nice find. That's a really nice find.
So I have all the extras on it at least, and I've got the Studio Canal box.
Yeah,
same here.
Studio Canal.
Yeah, it plays the music when you open it. It's a lot of fun. But Boom and the Seventh Seal, the most odd pairing you could possibly think of.
I think you win as the oddest pairing tonight for sure.
I think it's the oddest pairing I've ever done here on the Unwatched File. Usually my pairings are pretty traditional.
It is a pairing that I know John Waters would approve of.
He would.
Kind of two of his guys there, Joseph Losey and Bergman.
Yeah, very true. So maybe in the back of my mind I had that going the whole time, because I've been thinking a lot about him lately, because recently we did our review of the two John Waters films that came out this month from Criterion with Hairspray and Desperate Living.
I have to wait till July, I think.
Yeah. Get them both in the sale. Yep.
No. They're coming out in the UK in July.
Oh, okay. The UK releases. I got you.
If the UK Criterion releases, I'll just buy the UK one.
Yeah.
Save on import.
For sure.
So now we move over to Steven, which I'm curious.
Yeah, I think my pairing's pretty damn good.
All right.
It's not a big swing like
it's not the Seventh Seal,
it's
but
not
what
the
is?
Seventh Seal and Boom. I think mine lines up pretty nicely. And as I was telling Andrew before this, I could not find my physical release. I know I have this movie. It's in there somewhere, but I'm in the middle of like a alphabetizing situation, so I got stuff everywhere. I could not find it in time for this podcast, but I do own it. This is a movie I've watched many times, kind of a staple of my youth, and I think it really fits the themes in this movie perfectly. And that's 1993's What's Eating Gilbert Grape, with Johnny Depp, Leonardo DiCaprio. You got Johnny Depp playing kind of like the head of this family, essentially, where he's kind of taken on the responsibility of everybody. The mom's morbidly obese, kind of hanging around the house. Everybody makes fun of her. And he's got a brother who's mentally handicapped. And he takes care of him, watches after him. And, they live in this very small town where everybody knows everybody. And he's kind of just working at the grocery store just kind of stuck in, I guess, stuck in the middle, not able to pursue anything, kind of just having to hang around his hometown and not leave. I mean, he can't, he doesn't know what the world has for him. He hasn't even had a chance to make anything for himself. And obviously that pairs very nicely with what happens to our main character in the Cloud-Caped Star. And also with that, I think there is obviously a cultural difference here. I think that's where you get a nice difference, a different contrast where, in America, it's not, I don't think there's, I think there is definitely like a sense of like values of like wanting to be there to be a responsibility. But I think the family dynamic is different here, where there was a tragedy that is kind of long time plagued this family and they've never gotten over it. It's not like it's an immediate thing. Cause like in the Cloud-Caped Star, the father like has an accident and then they're dealing with it in the moment. In What's Eating Gilbert Grape, that I think the father had passed a long time ago, and this family slowly kind of decayed over time, many years. And it's just like about that like long-term drama that has just never, this family's kind of just drowned in, and it's kind of created just a really kind of toxic situation for everybody. And obviously, I think a lot of people remember this movie because of Leonardo DiCaprio's performance. He was nominated for the performance. Honestly, as I've gotten older, I find the Johnny Depp performance way more interesting, and wish he would do more movies like this, where he plays normal people dealing with normal things. But I'm pretty sure you both have seen this movie, Ian.
Oh yeah. It's great. I haven't seen it in a long time, but yeah, I mean it's and also it's one of the better early depictions. I mean, he doesn't explicitly have autism, but it's kind of clearly that's probably what he has.
Yeah.
And everyone and it's it's a pretty positive portrayal. Everyone loves him in it. He's and it's when Johnny Depp was the shit, basically. I mean, he was.
Yeah, he was.
Every film at that time, he was just fantastic in.
Yeah, he was obviously in the height of Tim Burton fame, doing Edward Scissorhands and doing, doing everything.
But it's doing a really wide variety. If it's like Donnie Brasco, Ed Wood, Fear and Loathing, Dead Man, he was just knocking them out, and
he was
fantastic.
Yeah, this was in the kind of aftermath of the rise of his stardom when he was on 22 Jump Street or 21 Jump Street.
Yeah.
And kind of just branching out from there, he was doing all kinds of movies that people now look back fondly on. Ironically, we were just talking about John Waters. He was in Cry Baby around the same time, which is this kind of 1950s almost Grease-like satire of a movie. And he was in that, and this movie was a really breakout role, I think, for both of those actors, who would then go on to even bigger stardom, because this was
it was Leo's breakout.
Yeah, because around that I think this was even before he was in Basketball Diaries, which is another one.
That was a couple years before
that people remember him. Of course, he was also in what's the 1990s Sam Raimi Western?
Quick and Dead.
Quick and the Dead. Yeah, he was in that right after this as well. And then of course Johnny Depp would go on to bigger stardom. But this is an interesting film. Also, I like the connection between and this is a character who's even younger than the character in the film that Stephen was talking about earlier, that having to take on this burden of leading the family because just by happenstance, because they have to, they feel the need, they have to.
Yeah, but there is a different angle to it, because I think the Nita in Cloud-Caped Star is like very positive. She very much feels, she like almost takes this on like wholeheartedly, and she
takes it on willingly. Yeah.
And until it like breaks her down, because like the man she was gonna marry, then I don't want to
don't spoil that part.
I don't want to spoil the movie, but that relationship goes south because of the situation,
right?
and in What's Eating Gilbert Grape, Johnny Depp, he's not a willing participant. He's kind of grown up into this situation.
Yeah.
And he's the only one that's doing anything really. And he doesn't, he's reluctant. He's definitely reluctant to do, he's looking for reasons to get out. And then there's a female character that comes into it kind of does the opposite, in Cloud Cape Star, there's a positive relationship situation at the beginning of the film. And in this one, we're into a bad situation. And then this kind of shining star comes in, played by, who was it? I'm blanking on her name.
Juliette Lewis?
Yes, Juliette Lewis, who plays this young girl who kind of like gives him a sense of the outside world that he's missing. And he wants to just go with her, but he decides to stay. Like he realized, like as much as he wants to leave, he like has this sense of like, loyalty to his family, no matter how bad they're off,
And that's something that theme has been throughout a lot of movies over the decades. Like that seems to be, like I said earlier in the other film, is that it's something that's very true to real life. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's very true to real life, especially in modern times where we're dealing with a generation that is, economically and financially burdened more so than we've ever seen in the past. We've seen a lot of people rely on family members. We've seen a lot of people within the current generations have to stay home longer, have to be attached to the family longer, not being able to break out really truly on their own because of the way in which the environment is around us and the way the world is now, as opposed to like decades in the past where like you had a sliver of a choice, and now you're almost forced into it even more so. So if anything, What's Eating Gilbert Grape is more modern and more closer to our time than I think people realize for a movie that's 32 years old at this point.
And the Cloud Cape Star, it does have an economical angle to it as well,
right.
I believe.
And it's also dealing with like patriarchal society, specifically in India, which we've seen in other Indian films at the time.
For sure. Yeah.
There's also a lot of those themes in that movie, which I thought were interesting.
Yeah. So yeah, I think it's a nice pairing, and just it showing two different cultures, but showing how close together that kind of situation is for no matter which culture you're in. You get a very similar situation, similar outcomes, and that all young people just they would love to make their own way, but that even with a recent film like Backrooms, it plays it. I know. I just here's that connection. Here's that throw out of left field. But we know the themes of Backrooms have a lot to do with young people's, anxieties about their place in our society today, being very much like, what's left over for them. And I think that's kind of a theme that's even back then was relevant too. Like young people are always looking for their way to have their own way, and it's increasingly gotten harder, I think, for young people to find their own way, to find their place. That's why you see a lot of kids say like, oh, I want to be an influencer. Well, you know why? Because that's the only thing they feel like they have control of, that they can get into, instead of like actually trying to go get like a normal job. Because normal jobs are hard to get.
I've been trying to get a job for 15 years. It hasn't
exactly.
happened.
It's just not easy. It's not as easy. I mean,
I can't tell you how many times I see scrolling on social media, people saying, I've been trying to get, like kind of Ian was saying, that I've applied to like 100 jobs in the last however long amount of time, and just nothing available. There's a whole big sociological, discussion to have about why that is the way it is. I think movies are starting to reflect that now, because, movies are a reflection of the time in which, they're made in. So we're probably going to see a lot more of those movies made over the next little while.
For sure.
Some
but
overqualified or underqualified, and no one's willing to take a chance on me.
Well, that's the biggest thing. I think it's nobody wants to take chance. Everybody's looking for qualifications that don't really amount to much unless you have experience. To me, I think
you can't get experience
unless
without the jobs.
Yeah, but it's like they care more about what's on the paper than actual. Like if I could pick between somebody that's had experience and somebody that's gotten a good degree, I will pick experience for sure first. But that's kind of been switched I think loyalty is gone in most places. It's all about what are the optics of something. And of course, jobs are just getting taken away from people every day with AI and things that are replacing people. So yeah, sad times, but
Well, I don't think the AI stuff's gonna last, thankfully.
no, it won't. I think in some ways it will, but I don't think in all. I think in every way that we fear that it will be around, it's not going to be around. But like,
Well,
it's going to play out for a while. I think
it's going to play out, but if you actually look into like how financially sustainable this stuff is, it's going to crash really badly for everyone involved.
Well, also, this is the thing too. It's like, so how do you expect people to buy your products or buy your things if they have no job to have money to buy your things?
Yeah, it doesn't work in a capitalist society.
Yeah, I mean, you can't take everybody's jobs away and expect them to be able to buy the things that you're having the robots to make for you now. I mean, it's not how it works. Unless you're thinking you're going to just get everybody to hop on to government, funding, just make everybody, have to have their money come from the government, which is
that's the way.
Not the society we need.
That's why, sometimes they come up with certain stimulus things and stuff like that. When the economy was truly crashing, 2008, 2009, they tried to stimulate it through that way. During COVID, they tried to keep the economy alive by doing things like that. But as you're saying,
with like the 2008 stuff, it's like those were like financial institutions. These are all like private, companies, and
that is right.
And first of all, none of them are profitable, and the demand for those services is pretty stagnant.
Yeah,
and it's not really increasing to the level where it will be profitable. So like OpenAI is losing like 17 billion a year. Which is crazy money.
Well, I'm sure they'll whenever
and the cost of this stuff is going to go up and up and up. So it's just not going to last.
Yeah, it'll reach a point where the cost won't, like the reward of the cost won't be there. Like it'll flip, And then once that happens, I think the companies will be like, we're going to go back.
Okay.
We're going to go back. Yeah. I mean, we've seen it with a couple of companies now that have downshifted certain aspects of their AI functionalities, right? Where they won't be making certain types of AI things anymore.
Somebody's going to think we're talking about Terminator or something.
Yeah, but it's very interesting just because we're talking about all AI. I don't want to get on too big of a tangent, but there's that new Luca Guadagnino film, which was funded by Amazon, that they just dropped because it was going to be a movie about an open AI founder or something like that. And Amazon just teamed up with the guy from the company or the company that it was about.
I mean, from what I gather, it's a pretty unsympathetic view of that guy.
Yeah, which of course, if the company funding the movie, that's an unsympathetic view of that company and that person, someone was going to get thrown away.
Yeah.
Yeah. And from what I know about the guy, rightfully so.
Probably so. It probably was.
But all right, well, that's the doomsday at the end. We were talking about doomsday scenarios at the end there, have nothing to do with the rest of the show. But thanks again for anybody watching, listening. Ian, we appreciate you coming on.
I'm always happy to come on. So
of course we got you, man. If you want to do a Chasing Labels with Andrew, I don't know if doing a show at your time would be good for Chasing Labels, because he does like a 3 to 4 hour show.
I could probably do it. I'll just need to make sure I get some more sleep the night before.
Okay, well, we could set that up for you, man. But that is it for this installment. Of course, you can always check this out on audio platforms as well. Andrew's Chasing Labels comes on the weeks opposite of this one, so check out for that. We should have another Movies Down Memory Lane coming out soon. I think we're doing Memento, which is my pick for this month. I think we need to get a date for that, don't we?
We do.
Yeah, because it's like literally has to happen soon. I don't know what I was doing.
Well, you got to tie in with the Odyssey, man.
What am I going to tie in with the Odyssey?
No. You've got to tie Memento with the Odyssey. You know, Nolan.
And you could always push it to July.
I could push it to July, but then how about we just do 2 movies of mine? And no, I'm just kidding. No, I guess I could. I mean, but I don't know. I'll keep that in mind. But we have one of them coming up soon. And then, as Andrew said, we have a recent Criterion Collection reviews of the movies that are just coming out, I think, this coming week. Desperate Living and Hairspray in the Criterion Collection. And we'll have some more of them coming up soon. Usually around the beginning of the month, we get our promos from them. And I have some stuff coming from Imprint, so I'll have something up from them soon. But thanks again for joining us at the Unwatched Pile. And hey, what are you doing? What are you still doing here? Just go watch movies. What are you? Waste of time. See ya.